So as you guys are all aware, Bill Maher is somebody who has been very flip-floppy on Bernie Sanders. He was a big Bernie guy in 2016 to his credit. And even after that election in which, you know, once the general came around, he was doing a big vote for Hillary turn. But even after that 2016 election, he brought Bernie on his show. He's like, dude, if you run again, I'm right behind you. But then once he ran again, he started saying that he's looking at Amy Klobuchar for some reason. I have no idea why. I don't know how you go from one to the other. But we've been covering, you know, the stuff that Bill Maher says about Bernard during this campaign. And so in this clip here, Bill Maher praises Bernie and actually tells the truth about his campaign and essentially sets up Pramila Jayapal, who is a progressive caucus leader in the House who's endorsed Bernie Sanders, to basically just dunk. You know, it's essentially, you know, Kobe alley-ooping to Shaq, or, you know, Dwayne Wade alley-ooping to LeBron, whichever one you want to take. I would go with Kobe Shaq, obviously. But let's go ahead and check this out.
Tell me about something that I've been reading about lately, that there is a myth of the Bernie bros. We had this image, I must admit, I did too.
Doesn't look like me.
No, but, you know, that it was mostly these younger, incel-y white men. And I read the statistics, and no. In fact, Bernie does worse with white men than anybody, and it's more women who are for him, more Latinos. Well, how did we get it wrong? Twitter.
Twitter. I mean, I do think Twitter is a big part of it. People look at that and think it means everything.
Right.
But Bernie Sanders has assembled the most diverse coalition there is. He is energizing young people. He's got tons of women of color. He's got tons of people of color more broadly. But he is also playing to a forgotten group of blue-collar workers who really believe he's going to fight for them. And that combination of this very diverse coalition of voters that have not turned out before, that frankly any other candidate would be thrilled to have this kind of coalition, he's got them, but he is also speaking to a lot of people that really feel like he will fight for them. I mean, just in 2016, we lost Michigan for the first time in 28 years. Democrats lost Michigan. We lost Wisconsin for the first time in 32 years. Guess who won 71 of 72 counties in Wisconsin? It was Bernie Sanders. So when you look at the appeal of Bernie Sanders, I think it is really unusual to have somebody who can do both things. Really build that broader base, okay, but also play to these some of them Trump voters.
Yes.
So she's absolutely right, and so I'm very happy that Bill Maher essentially set her up to debunk this, and he kind of debunked it himself there. But this is so true right now because we're seeing the races play out in the poll numbers. I believe I just saw a poll that said that Bernie's highest in South Carolina with African American voters below the age of 50, which is very significant. But so when you look at the polls, and a lot of people, I don't know why, if this is a narrative-based thing or what it is, but to basically like shank Bernie, but they act as if African Americans, black people, are the only non-white group in the United States, as if there aren't Middle Easterners and Hispanics and, you know, name whatever group you want to. They seem to act as if it's only black people. I don't know why that is, but when you combine all non-white voters, Bernie Sanders does the best with non-white voters, okay? Those are numbers from polling data. He's rising up in the numbers with African-American voters, and he has this unique ability, and he's done this mostly because he just went out and did this himself, of just reaching out to different ethnic groups, different groups. So what do we see in Iowa, for example? We saw Bernie Sanders fucking sweep, okay, all of those caucuses. I believe they were the satellite ones, although I'm not sure. They were held at mosques. All right, the only viable candidate was Bernie Sanders. He swept that ish hard, bro. I saw one where it was a group of Rohingya Muslims who had been from Myanmar, the refugees who were, you know, basically getting genocided. All right, and they're all in for Bernie. And saw another one at a mosque. They're all in for Bernie. You know why? Because Bernie reached out to them. Okay, remember the ISNA conference? There were two candidates. Only major one was Bernie Sanders. The other one was Julian Castro, who was never a serious candidate in the first place. And so he was the only top candidate to go there, the only single one. And then we saw with Hispanic voters, he rocked. He rocked in Iowa. Okay, all the other candidates were not viable in those areas, all right? And then we see in polling numbers, he's leading with Hispanic voters. That's why he's doing so well in Nevada right now. And then he's, you know, he's rising with other groups of minorities like African Americans. And so this myth needs to fucking die, all right? Because there's this stupid myth that, oh, it's the Bernie bros. They're all just white guys who fucking eat pizza rolls and shit like that or whatever. The whole myth just needs to die off because it's not true. Bernie Sanders has the most diverse coalition. He's leading with Hispanic voters. His support amongst African Americans is surging. His support amongst non-white voters is the highest, all right? And that's according to multiple polls. So it just needs to die. And we see how it's playing out in these races. And he is really surging amongst these groups. And so hopefully this stupid myth fully dies. Hopefully it's laid to rest in its grave because it has no business existing at all any longer whatsoever, okay? Literally has no business. So, credit to Bill Maher here because he not only kind of debunks it himself, but he sets up Pramila Jayapal to really, you know, spike this. And so, credit to Bill Maher where credit is due. He does seem to be a bit of a flip-flopper, but good stuff to see.